It's time to talk about how I came to know Jesus and understand that he truly is the Son of God. It's been a journey. It didn't happen immediately. The Lord lifted me out of the depths of despair and an 18-year lifelong drug addiction, hardcore drug addiction. It should have killed me. But I survived from the merciful Lord, because I certainly would have gone to hell for the things I was doing. I was completely nescient and oblivious and addicted and self-destructive and frankly possessed, and had no idea that these powers, these invisible powers that we can't see, are very real and very serious. So what happened was, what happened was I had an encounter. I had more than one encounter with Omni. Jesus is Omni's son. Omni is God. And I encountered Omni first, before Jesus. And I had many encounters with Omni. Omni was affirming and showing me the truth. And, gosh, Lord, help me know. Speak through me, lessen me, and greaten you, because it's hard to know how to give proper. Omni is so beautiful. Omni is hilarious, first of all. The kings of comedy, those three guys, they don't even know what funny is. People think that Omni is some boring, they think God is some boring old man, old white guy in the clouds with a bunch of angels completely covered up with harps, strumming along all day, and everything's all peaceful and easy and soft, and that if you go to heaven, you have to constantly be a serve. These they don't even understand what true service is, what being a servant is. It's a glorious honor and privilege, and it's different. Let me just say this. Omni taught me this, is that there's a difference between being a servant and a slave. Okay, a slave is what the devil will make you. Okay, a slave, the devil is a slave driver. Okay, being a servant is done willingly, out of love. And it's an honor and a privilege, and you get exponentially fulfilled as a result. It's, here's what happened. It's hard to know where to start. I was destitute, living in a park in San Francisco, which is has a lot of evil going on in that town that I was completely oblivious and nescient to. I had no idea. I was just, survival mode all the time. When it's hard to know. In these days, people get so offended by pronouns, like this whole gender issue. People get very touchy and offended if you call them a her or a he when they're non-binary and this, that. It's all very confusing. Well, imagine Omni. You think you're Omni, it's not offended. I'm sure that Omni's not offended, because Omni knows how we're just humans, and this is just petty stuff we do. But Omni's beyond male and female pronouns. You think that Omni's creation, gets all touchy over it. Omni is God. Omni is beyond sex. Omni is not. Sure, Jesus referred to Omni as his father, and that's because Omni is Jesus's father. But all that in some. You can't confine God to a box. The things I've seen Omni do are incredible. Incredible. And I'm going to just start with one thing for each video, because it can be very overwhelming and a lot to assimilate and take in and process. Omni is so incredible. Omni will smash all your preconceptions of anything and rebuild them if you are willing and let Omni and surrender. It's that simple. And why wouldn't you want to? We're so brainwashed and confused and numb and everything else. Like, the Lord will take your burden for free. Anyway, here's what happened. Here's a miracle, because several miracles happened to let me know that this is God, that Omni is God. Omni showed me miracles, and I'm going to share them with you. And this happened over a succession of time, months, before Omni showed me Jesus. And that's when it was affirmed. Okay? It's really very deep. And this is for all the seekers of God out there. One night, here's a miracle that happened. One night, I was sleeping in my spot, which was in a park, behind a tree, on the ground there. And I went back there one night, late at night, to go to sleep, and I noticed that somebody had stolen my blanket, because I used to leave my bedding stashed in the forest. And another homeless or transient person came through and took my blanket. And so I was really cold, because there in that city, the temperature drops every night. About 3-4 a.m., it gets very cold. And I was like, oh gosh, I'm going to be cold. It was already cold, and it was early. So I was just, on the ground, and I was cold, and I was like, oh God, I'm so cold, And suddenly, there was a light. And it's interesting, because Omni does the most interesting things with the light. In the trees in the distance, because there's a lot of trees, like a forested area, a light started to come around a distant tree. And I learned at this point to start watching the lights, when I see them, because chances are they're going to turn into something else, because Omni does this. And I'm not saying these miracles in order. There was an order, but this is just a really profound one that I'm just going to share, because I had seen Omni times before this, but this was incredible what Omni did this time. Came around, there was a light, it came around the tree, and it started flying towards me. And it came towards me. As it came closer, I realized that here's what it looked like. It was like a cloud with a face on it. Like I said, Omni is beyond your wildest imagination. All of our imagination, as creative and imaginative as we are, can't even compare to God. Omni comes around the tree and is a cloud. It's got like a streamline and then a puffier in the front. And on the front, there's a face on the cloud, and it looks like Old Man Winter. And he comes flying around the tree and came over to my spot. And then he goes like this. He puts his lips out like this, and he goes like this. And he started blowing air out. He was going like this all around my spot. The cloud was like turning, and you could see this was like a spirit. You could see celestial air coming out of his mouth in a puff. And he was blowing air all around the area that I slept. Immediately, my spot got about 10 degrees warmer. It didn't become like a tropical environment, because enough is as good as a feast with Omni. It was just warm enough that I could sleep there with no blanket all night long and not be cold. After the cloud, Old Man Winter face thing started going like this and blew the cloud out and literally changed the temperature of my little area right there. Just the little area right there that I slept in. He flew away back into the trees and disappeared. And I literally slept there all night long, completely content and warm enough to not need a blanket. And that was Omni. Omni is incredible. And I just want to share that with you. I don't really know how to end this, but take that in. Omni is awesome. And that's all I got to say. Praise be to God, and praise be to you if you're open and receptive to receiving the Lord, as you should be, because the Lord is splendid and incredible, and the devil hates you beyond measure. Because here's the thing. The devil, which shouldn't, I call it because nothing so evil should be humanized with a name or trying to, It shouldn't be familiarized. It shouldn't be humanized. It shouldn't be identified with a name. It's it. Okay. And it is also an evil shapeshifter that's awful. It hates you beyond all comprehension. It hates a teeny little molecule of air so much that it destroys itself over it. It's unfathomable. It knows that it cannot touch Omni, and it knows that Jesus has conquered it. And so what it does is it tries to destroy all of Omni's creations to get at Omni. And if you facilitate this, may God have mercy on your soul.